Right.
And of course, now with everything going on with the coronavirus, they're now stopping people and taking temperatures and, providing masks for anybody. So they even take them for those that are just coming for general tests like
Right.
lab work or radiology or anything
Well,
like
you
that.
have to at this stage right now.
That is
So
correct.
let's talk about that. You had mentioned PPE, masks. These are all things that have been in fairly short supply, or maybe might be on more demand. Even if they have the supply, they may not have a lot of extra after you get your order, right?
And that is correct. Everything that we have on order we cannot get. And we're having to constantly search for various suppliers to see what we can get. And we've even gone to the state and requested supplies through them because they do keep, just like the federal government does, they keep a supply of extra items. And we fortunately got some of those supplies on Monday, so we were very grateful for that.
Okay, but
So,
we all
but
know this is a statewide affair,
it
and
is.
fortunately, knock on wood, but fortunately, our area has not been hit. Fortunately. And because of that, and I think a lot of it has to do with the protocol that's been put in place, but we do know that there are areas, the Springfield area, Columbia, also Kansas City, St. Louis. All four of those areas have been hit. As a matter of fact, when you look at the cases that they report now, 97% are in those four cities.
That's correct.
You take those four cities out, and I think we have 18 cases total in the state of Missouri, which that's nothing to sneeze at because it can easily spread very quickly. However, we do know that a lot of what we always talk about hospitals. Before you even know what's going on, somebody can go into an emergency room with it and give it to 15 people.
That's exactly right.
And that's one of the reasons why our hospital has set up the protocols that they have.
They do.
So it's really a good thing. And again, if you have a fever or if you have maybe a lingering cough, or if you know you come in contact with somebody who has tested positive, call the hospital, call your family physician. Do not show up.
That's
Call
right.
them, and they will send you to the right place to be tested if they feel a test is needed.
Right. And also for the safety of everyone, all employees are now being checked with temperatures every morning too,
Right.
to make sure that we haven't contracted anything or passing anything on. So they're
So that
taking
just
extra.
increased your supply list right there,
I
didn't it?
know. So it's unbelievable. Every day we come in and there's like, they're looking for something else and we're in short. I mean, then you start talking about thermometers and thermometer covers and, they're becoming hard to find. So every day it's like a new thing that you think you need or feel like you will need,
Right.
and then it's hard to find them. So, but we've stocked up the best we can. I mean, we have for our nurses and doctors things like safety goggles and shields and, of course, gowns and gloves and masks, and we're doing the best we can to keep a good supply. And then all the cleaning items that, like you said, your Lysol and your
Right.
all
Well,
that.
when people think about ordering supplies like this, obviously, I mean, you have a supplier which it goes through probably we'll say a house. I always kind of say a house. People, maybe I can relate more like a Walmart distribution center. They have a lot of those products there, and then they get shipped out to where they need to go.
Right.
A lot of times that's what happens. I'm not saying that's always what happens with the hospital because there are certain products that absolutely come right from the manufacturer, get shipped right to you because of their importance to a hospital cleanliness and sanitation.
Right.
However, I will say that right now, when you start talking about all these extra things that you have to get, the price isn't going down because these manufacturers now they weren't expecting all this.
That's right.
And they're trying to catch up, and then they're putting them out as fast as they can. But then you see what's happening in New York City, and when you have 58% of all your cases in the entire United States in one city, they're getting the blunt
That's
of whatever they need, right?
Right. That is right.
And you're kind of down on the low on the totem pole.
Right. Right. And hospitals are given priority, but yes, they've got to be looking at the numbers and where the cases are occurring, and that's where the priorities have to be. So
And
we're constantly looking every day to get whatever we can get.
So I'm gonna kind of go back to a little bit about what you talked about at the board meeting. You how many different suppliers does the hospital usually use? I mean, within within a year's time. Some you probably only use once a year.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Right.
And others you
There's
might use.
capital budget items,
Right.
and we may order
And
once a
sometimes
year.
you use on every week.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's definitely those. Probably on a weekly basis. Oh, I'm going to guess 50, 75 different suppliers. She's got different ones that she looks at every day as far as purchases and what we need. And she has reports that she goes through to check to see what she needs to buy.
Right.
But yes. And we have, main suppliers that we buy a lot of our medical supplies from. And then you have your other suppliers that you buy things for maintenance for, your cleaning supplies for. So, yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of different ones. And you get approached, as you mentioned, vendors are going to keep coming in. They're always coming up with a new product, right?
That's right.
New, bigger, and better,
they want to
right?
sell it to you,
Yeah,
of course.
well, I mean, and that's a decision that you have to make. Do you have to go, when you get this presentation made to you, obviously, do you make that decision, or do you talk to your entire staff about that, or do you contact, if it's a janitorial product or a maintenance product, do you bring them in on this conversation?
Oh, absolutely. You do
Okay.
bring in the different departments depending on what you're looking at. If it's a specific medical supply and it needs to be used in acute care or surgery, they definitely have to take a look at it. Same with cleaning supplies. Our housekeeping would take a look at that to see if it would work for their needs. We look at things. We deal with contracts, so we have to look at the pricing, and we're part of what's called a Vizient contract. We see if this company, is through that so that we can get that contractual pricing. So there's a lot of different things that we look at when we're looking at trying to buy a new item.
And let's explain contractual pricing. A lot of that is based upon quantity. In history, a lot of times too, in the last 3 years, you've bought 1,000 masks. So they give you a price based upon what you've been doing in
Right.
the past, usually, right?
Correct.
Now all of a sudden, now you need 10,000 masks.
Right.
Do they give you the break, or they charge you that same
Yes,
price?
yes, because they do
Okay.
have what you call bracket pricing,
Okay.
and if you were to move up in the quantities that you would buy, yes, you would buy in a better bracket, is what I
Okay.
call it.
Okay, so, and that's what you're all looking out for that as well. So
Right.
you constantly have to monitor that as well. But then availability might make that price go up.
Absolutely.
Kind of
And-
weigh those two doubles.
So
don't
that's
you?
another thing that we have to
Uh-huh.
watch for. And you've probably heard it spoken about on television about price gouging, and they got to watch. We have to watch for that also. We have to watch for scammers even right now with people wanting to come and saying they can sell you masks. Okay,
Well, yeah, Batman's mask is not going to work.
Right,
You know?
right.
Yeah.
And I would like to say, when we're talking about masks, that we've had some people in our community that have stepped up, called the hospital, and said, "Can we make masks for you?" And we appreciate the efforts that anybody can provide for us so that we can protect our healthcare workers to the best of our ability through this, because I know they're nervous and they're scared, and they should be.
Right. Well, and let's be honest. There's not just one type of mask.
That's right. There's
I mean,
different
there's
kinds.
probably like 15 different manufacturers of masks,
Oh.
and basically there's two, I think, with basic ones, one like for surgery, and then one just
There's surgical masks, yes, and
different things.
And the big one that is important for the coronavirus is what they call the N95 mask that you've probably heard about, and those are very, very difficult to find right now. But they fit and they form to your face and,
Right.
and do a much better job of protecting your healthcare workers.
Right, and we've been told by Kendra Mowbray and stuff that wearing a mask out there to try and prevent you from getting it doesn't work.
Right.
And then people say, "Oh, why wouldn't it prevent me from getting it anyway?" I said, "Well, you're going to touch the surfaces, rub your eyes. It's that mask can do you
That's
pretty
right.
good,
Right.
or even just the little things you can pick up. Like we mentioned, doorknob. You have a doorknob, go eat lunch, and all of a sudden you've transferred it into your system
Right.
via food.
Which is why they emphasize washing your hands so much.
Exactly, and we keep running that ad by Kathy Haynes that the hospital has. The best way is to wash your hands and to do that thoroughly, which now means more people are probably washing their hands for longer duration. I'm sure
Yes.
that you've come across where the antibacterial soap that I think the hospital uses, you probably had to buy extra of that because
Right.
more people, not just visitors who go through the protocol to come in, which aren't as many right now.
That's right. We have the
because you have a new
visitors have been
protocol.
limited, which that helps on all your
Right.
supplies too.
But I'm sure all the employees are washing their hands.
Oh, yes.
A lot more.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
towels,
using hand sanitizer.
are you using paper towels, hand dryers, or blow dryers? What does a hospital use?
We have paper towels.
Paper towels.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
So there you go.
That's
so
right.
The more hands that are washed, the more paper towels that are used, and the more trash bags you have to go
That
through
is-
too. So I mean, when you look at something like this, and I know that when they come to you and say, we're going to institute this protocol, we need to make sure this and this and this. You have to think of all that stuff, not just we need more soap. That means more towels. That means more trash bags.
Just all of it.
I mean, but you have to see what everything is down the line, don't you?
That's correct. And then one thing, we have a laundry service for our linens, and so we've just been in discussion with them. Well, what if we get a case? What do you do with those linens? And so we've had to institute some kind of protocol for that too. So it just affects so many different areas that you don't even realize until you start getting into it.
It's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot, and one of the things that is so key is that having those supplies on hand. We all know that you may go to a supplier, they're out. You go to a secondary supplier, they may be out, and you may go to a third or fourth supplier before you can find even a few, and you may be paying a lot more for those few from your fourth supplier. That probably wasn't your priority to be with them anyway.
That is true.
Because their prices are higher, and when people think, well, it's just as easy as just going to like the store and picking it up. No, it's not. And you're just one of many hospitals.
Right.
That are using this. And it's not just hospitals, it's health centers, it's doctors' offices, it's
nursing homes.
Nursing home, exactly.
Right.
Urgent cares now,
right.
which are showing up.
All your medical facilities.
In your major cities are showing up now on virtually every corner.
Right.
Which is kind of making it a little bit weird sometimes when I see 5 urgent cares in a 2-mile span. Are we that sick?
Yeah.
You kind of wonder, don't you?
Right. And something you brought up, we go to one supplier and try to find it and then the next. So we've had to be flexible at the hospital and realize, okay, this might not be the normal item that we use, but hey, it's a glove, we can still use it. So
right.
We've had to be flexible that way. Our departments have had to be flexible and realize, okay, this isn't the normal glove we get, but it's a glove.
So has the shipping changed because of the demand for products elsewhere? A lot of people are not leaving their home, so they're ordering a lot of things online that they may need at home. So has the demand for shipping created a delay at all for hospital supplies?
Fortunately, we haven't seen that. A lot of our supplies do come in by FedEx or UPS. Once in a while we have a carrier that comes in. One thing that the UPS and FedEx have changed is normally you have to sign, and they've done away with that, so you don't have to touch.
That's not always a good thing because you need to check those things coming in.
Right.
And unfortunately, sometimes when they're signing it, you get out there and you're short a box.
Right.
It's the devil to try and find where that box is.
That's right.
And it might be a very key and important supply you're waiting for, where it was supposed to be here today, and you can even check the tracking, and it's supposed to be there today. Where is it?
Right.
And it could be on their truck still.
Right.
Or maybe it never got put on their truck.
Right. We have some dedicated UPS and FedEx drivers, and we're very appreciative of them coming every day and making those deliveries to us.
So how many people are in your department? I mean, we talk about all these thousands of supplies,
I know.
And there should be 55 people, right?
No.
Yeah.
There's, counting myself, there's 5 of us. So I have the one buyer, Don Schumer. I have a receiver, Carmen McBride. And I have an inventory person, which is Amber Price. And then I have Lisa Green, who handles our linens, and she also helps with filling orders and supplies, too. So it's just the 5 of us. So we stay very busy throughout the day, taking supplies to the hospital, making sure the clean linens are distributed, and Dawn's busy all day long looking for supplies.
Right. And I'm pretty sure, and I know the answer to this, but as housekeeping, maintenance goes through something and they need something, obviously do they call you and you bring it to them, or is
Yes.
it they come to you?
Well, they put in what we call electronic orders,
Right.
and then it gets filled within our storeroom, and then they take it to them.
Okay.
So, and
So they don't have to stop doing what they're doing, right?
who?
Well, like if I'm in the middle of, if I'm a maintenance guy and I'm in the middle of stuff and I need something, can you bring it to me so I don't have to stop what I'm doing and go get it?
If
Yeah.
needed,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I mean. you know.
Yes, and,
I mean,
and
if it
there's
has to
urgent
be, right.
there's urgent times, but normally the departments try to get like an order together once a week
Right.
and put it in electronically. So they'll send in a fairly large order.
So you're the
But-
main storeroom, and they have their little small areas. That
Right,
They
right.
fill the supplies from.
And they pull the main supplies from our storeroom, and they have little storage areas that they keep their particular items that they use for that department.
And all your supplies are maintained electronically, so when